And 59 right now in the capital city. It's 55 in Partyville, 52 Mineral Point, and 57 in Janesville. Here's within Dane County, 54 in DeForest right now, and 55 in Oregon. But notice our winds have lightened up a little bit overnight. Starting to see some gusts right along the Mississippi, but the direction has changed. Those winds now out of the west, whereas yesterday winds were coming in out of the south. So we're starting to pull in some cooler air. So as we go through the rest of the day, temperatures won't warm quite as quickly. We'll be into the low 60s by about 9 o'clock, and then into the still lower 60s by about 11, 62 degrees by 11 o'clock, with those winds definitely getting stronger out of the west-northwest, sustained winds right around 20 by the late morning hours. We'll have a look at the rest of your Sunday and the week ahead coming up in less than 5 minutes. Yesterday for the start of our weekend, not really feeling like the first weekend of October. Most of southern Wisconsin was in the lower 80s yesterday afternoon. 84 degrees in Janesville, 82 in Madison. We were about 3 degrees away from a record high yesterday, and even some upper 70s, Camp Douglas and in Montello. Now, a cold front has moved through this morning, so that leaves us much cooler for this afternoon. We'll be in the mid 60s, so a lot more fall feeling, more early October feeling for us today. We'll be up to about 65 in Madison, 67 in Janesville, maybe even some lower 60s for our northern communities. But I want to zoom out and show you that we'll actually be one of the coolest spots in the country today. You can see some low 60s and maybe some upper 50s through northern Wisconsin, northern Minnesota, and a little bit up the East Coast as well. But there's a lot of warmth that's been building down in the south. 90s through much of Texas today, but especially for the southwest. 110 for that high in Phoenix today, 103 in Sacramento, California. So, of course, they do have some excessive heat warnings for areas in pink, heat advisories for areas in orange as well. And they'll continue this stretch of heat for the next couple of days, and they had a lot of heat last week as well. Here are their expected high temperatures tomorrow. 109 in Phoenix, 100 in Vegas. We'll watch as some of that heat will eventually begin to spread. Now, notice how, as of right now, a lot of it is contained in the Four Corners region. But as we go through the work week, that starts to spread a little bit farther north into the Central Plains and a little bit farther east as well. So by the time we get into Friday, locally, we'll have high temperatures back into the lower 80s. We might see the low 80s last into the start of next weekend as well. But low 80s, I don't think we're looking at mid 80s like what they'll have off towards the west, but still a lot of unusual heat as we get into really parts of mid-October by that point in time. Outside now, though, we are quiet and comfortable, just starting to see that sun rising this morning. 59 degrees now in Madison, a light breeze out of the west-southwest at 7. Winds do get stronger as we go through the rest of the day out of the northwest, sustained up to about 20, gusts around 30. And again, those high temperatures into the mid-60s for most, maybe low 60s for some. Now, overnight tonight, we will dip into the 30s, and some areas that are in the mid-30s could see a little bit of patchy frost possible. I think that's most likely north of Dane County, but if you have some plants outside that you're wanting to keep going for the next couple of weeks that are sensitive to frost, you might want to cover those up tonight. As we go through the rest of the